Let me tell all you cake ass niggas who love jumping up in a nigga comment something. My nigga, I don't give a fuck if you think we descended from Africa, if you think we descended from the Moors, if you think we descended from the Hebrew Israelites, if you think we descended from the indigenous people right here, if you think we was ever slaves or not. I don't give a fuck about none of that whole ass shit. You know why, bitch ass nigga? Because the white man don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Right now, cake ass nigga. All the white man give a fuck about ass and see you ass is a nigga. Niggas is the only motherfuckers who steady squabbling amongst our motherfucking selves about who we is and where we come from. That bitch ass shit don't mean a motherfucking thing. So, well, if you say you indigenous, you can get some land, or if we say it is, we can get reparations. Let me tell you something, bitch ass nigga. The white man ain't finna give you no motherfucking reparations. He ain't finna give you no land. He ain't finna give you no freedom, bitch ass nigga. It's only one way to get it, and that's to take it, hoe ass nigga. One thing the white man do give a nigga though is life and death. Every day in them courthouses, cake ass nigga.
This message is for the brothers and sisters who like to argue about doctrine out of the flesh. If you're arguing not to come to an understanding of the word and just to be right, you're operating in the flesh and you're full of yourself, and you need to get over yourself. Because when we're talking about God, it's about God. This is not about us. It's about Him. It's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about learning His word and try to understand it. It's not to be right and I'm right, you're wrong. No, that's operating in the flesh and is not fruitful. It's not fruitful for either party, and it's not giving God the glory. You're just feeding your own ego. So get over yourself.
Many of the Israelites today are finna be mad when I tell y'all this. The term Hebrew originally referred to the nomadic people, those who moved from place to place, not a specific race. The earliest Hebrews were travelers, traders, and outcasts who originally didn't belong to a fixed nation. But if you look at the text and you dive into esoteric knowledge, then you'll begin to see that the Hebrews were from the lineage of Marduk and Enlil.
Alright, that's enough of this boring old hoe. Shalom Akim. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakwadash, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, peace and blessing to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect. Shalom Barakathum. And this is just a lamp back, Salakia, off of the older GMS South Carolina 08. Okay, who puts together a lot of TikToks, video and responses, and one thing that he's noticed, as well as myself and many other brothers, is that Hebrew Israelites have been coming up a lot. Okay, and so what this means is that the gospel has been preached. Okay, and now the Spirit is at work, basically, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Okay, and what did the Lord say in Matthew? Let me see. I might have it mixed up. Yeah. Matthew 24. Okay. Just to give you the context of what time that we're in, Matthew 24, verse 9, it says, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Now, one theme that you see with these videos, they're either bitter, they're trying to shame you if they're a woman, or they're just in a belligerent, low-key violent carnal spirit. Okay, that's what comes with being correct about the doctrine. And when prophecy unfolds and vindicates us, this is going to turn up. Okay, and the result of it will be some of us will be in the prisons. Okay, we're going to be ostracized, cut off. All right, because they're just going to be under the belief that they're not going to be able to believe that we were correct. Their pride won't let them come to grips, and that's not the marker of an elect, all right, of one of the elect. When you read Psalms 51, you know, David didn't buck up and make excuses about what he did, all right. He was contrite, okay, and repentant, okay. But these people are the opposite, all right. Even though grace is still technically open, they're still bugging out. Verse 10, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And even people in these other camps, they're all gonna divide and fight one another. All right. It's not just gonna be Genesis and Sakara. It's gonna be on manifold levels. Okay. Even within families, people are gonna be fighting. Okay. So you know these Israelite camps are gonna break up. You know, Jake, that are into Kemet or into these other philosophies, and with that this demon is talking about esoteric knowledge, you know, going into to Marduk and Enki and all of that. They're all going to be divided, man. Okay. And it's going to get bloody for y'all's sake. Okay. And I'm going to go to Jeremiah. Okay. 30th chapter to prove that y'all are the ones that are messed up. Okay. You can't get mad at us. All right. Cause now all y'all want to mention our names because y'all see the writing on the wall. All right. It's starting to sink into your spirit what's happening, okay? That you were rejected, all right? It says, verse 10 again, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, all right? So this is going to get really hairy for the ones that are cast into outer darkness. There were men that were in the truth, that knew the doctrine, that got the correct doctrine, that received the gospel, and they shrugged it off. They went back into the world, or they thought that they knew better, okay? Or they did something to appease their flesh in the short term instead of doing the right thing, all right? Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved, all right? So if you didn't endure to the end, it don't matter how many lessons you did, how long you were doing it. All right. It was ultimately written that you were going to be destroyed. All right. And that's what a lot of this is. Okay. A lot of these people, you know, were in the faith at one point or believed at one point, but they just started mixing in the world with it. Okay. And this is the result. Verse 14, the main point. And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And that's what we can't wait for, the end. Because you're not going to be able to be talking shit on the internet in the time of the end, which we're in. But there's going to come a breaking point where the Lord is done talking. He's done suffering you talking shit. All right. And we've already preached the gospel, but it's being witnessed more so. All right. We're starting to come up a lot more. All right. What's going to be the result of that? All right, let me go to Proverbs 1 real quick. Let me see. Yep, verse 20. Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And we have been doing this in the chief place of concourse, so y'all heard it. So now you don't have an excuse. All right? Your excuse has been removed. Okay? Forget how you spell the word cloak. John 15:22, if I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin. Okay? So you can't hide behind I didn't know or this. The internet, we've been on the internet since 2007, 2008, when it really took off. All right? So now you don't have an excuse. Now all you can do is try to rationalize in your own mind why you made the right choice, but you didn't. You made a simple choice. Okay, you decided to save your flesh and appeal to your flesh instead of doing and taking the straight gate. All right. There's a reward for the men that took the straight gate, man, that suffered these curses, that got accused of all kind of different things, that had to take the low day after day after day. All right. Y'all have your consolation here. Verse 22, how long ye simple ones, Proverbs 1 and 22, Salaki, I'm jumping around. How long ye simple ones will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. All right, because it should be obvious. It should be an obvious question. What is next? What is coming down the pipe next? Okay. Any Jake talking about reparations with gold teeth in his mouth, he's through. He don't know what's coming. All right. But I'll explain in a second what's coming. All right. Verse 23. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and will make known my words unto you. So the Lord made his words known. All right. So whatever reaction you get, that's on you. Okay. Verse 24, because I have called ye and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye said at not all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. Okay. I will mock when your fear cometh. That's what's coming. This is going to come in the form of what? Jacob's trouble. Okay. This is the final ass whooping y'all gonna get before the missiles hit. Okay. Because you're rebellious, especially the ones of you that know. You can mention us all you want. Go on podcasts and mention us. You know, you can hold hands with Satan to try to demonize us, make us the threat, when they're the ones destroying the whole goddamn earth. You know, not damn, but you know, they're destroying everything. And you're working in tandem to upkeep this world. For what? Short-term comfort? Okay. Verse 27, when your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind. All right. When you see a big ass tornado coming, all right, and you out there on foot, and it's just a big ass, you know, funnel cloud coming. What can you do? Okay, you can run. Right? But there's you can't outrun it. Okay? It's faster than you. Okay? And whirlwinds, you don't know where they're gonna touch down at, man. You know, tornadoes. All right? One can spawn right there in your backyard. You know? Then what you gonna do? All right? It says, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. And a lot of you people are going to try to do that through getting through the men of the Lord that were the same men you ridiculed and mocked and scoffed at. All right. That's in Matthew 25. You're going to say, you know, go to the sellers and buy, you know, get the help up from around us. All right. Verse 29, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord Yahweh. All right. And that's the main point, you know, but the rest of it goes further into it. That's what it boils down to. You didn't fear the Lord. You knew, but you chose not to. And that's why the Lord is going to destroy you people. Okay. Verse 30, they would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Okay. This woman right here with the teeth. All right. She despised what we've been teaching. Okay. But she didn't consider her latter end, like the scriptures say. She didn't consider the latter end. All right. You might as well suffer now, because what's coming is unimaginable suffering. Okay. And it says, verse 31, therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. Whatever you niggas are into, you're going to be given over to that. All right. Whatever you forsook the Lord for, the Lord is going to find a way to destroy you based on that. All right. And it's going to be a complete and custom tailor-made judgment. All right. Verse 32, for the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. All right, y'all followed the wrong crowd. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. Now, what is this whole chapter from verse 20 on down talking about? Okay. Who's that one that's going to be delivered? Okay. Jeremiah 30:5, it says, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace." All right. So this is not about to be a sweet time we're going into. Okay. You can listen to Donald Trump if you want to, talking about it's going to be a golden age. All right. He's right. He's right in a way. All right. The golden age is on the way, but it ain't for you people. Okay. The Lord is on his way back. All right. Verse 6, "Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travail with child." These so-called tough guys, you know, calling you cake ass niggas and all of this and bitch ass niggas. And, you know, these men are about to bitch up like women. All right. They have no idea the level of judgment the Lord can put on them. They have no idea how angry the Lord is. Okay. For you to hear this gospel and then still choose Satan, you got to be out your mind, man. All right. It says, "Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." What does that mean? What does this say in the NLT? Jeremiah 30:6 in the NLT. "Now let me ask you a question. Do men give birth to babies?" Well, you ask Esau who y'all want to be hand in hand with, he'll say yeah. But it says, "Then why do they stand there ashen faced?" Okay, and ashen goes into mourning. All right. It says, "Hands pressed against their sides like a woman in labor." So the Lord gonna turn y'all. Y'all want to be, non-binary. The Lord gonna give you that, man. All right. Look at verse 7. This is the main verse I wanted. It says, "In all history, there has never been such a time of terror." You see? And so when you go back to Proverbs 1, you put it in context, okay? Verse 33, it says, "But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil." Of what? Y'all don't think evil is coming. That's your problem, okay? You're settled here, all right? You want to belong to something because you don't have an identity, but ultimately you're comfortable here. You want this place to continue, all right? You're settled on your lease, but that ain't good enough for the Most High, okay? Jeremiah 30:7, the New Living Translation. "In all history, there has never been such a time of terror. It will be a time of trouble for my people Israel." So if you know about the Hebrew Israelites, you know what we preach, you know who you are. A lot of you believe that you're them, but it didn't spark any action in you. It didn't proc any faith, or your faith was not realized in your actions. You just found out you were and just sat there, all right? And there's a special spirit on you for you to turn and talk shit against it, It says, "Yet in the end they will be saved." All right? Now, when it says they, it's talking about the elect, because a lot of you 2/3 are going to perish. All right? Verse 8 in the King James, it says, "For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him." All right, so why are you holding hand with strangers? Okay? When the Lord said this is the time where he's going to burst the bonds off of our neck, you should be on our side. Okay? Like, what did Obi-Wan tell Anakin? In Star Wars Episode 3, he says, "I have the high ground, Anakin." Say, don't do it. He said, you were supposed to. He says, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not become them. This is when he was turning into Darth Vader. All right, and that's you niggas, man. We have the high ground. We have the truth, the doctrine, and y'all just, waxing worse and worse in your emotions and your feelings. You're either shaming or you're just getting in a carnal, angry spirit. And there's consequences for that. That's my favorite thing to say nowadays. There's consequences. Okay? And so this thing is going to get way worse before it gets better. All right? Zephaniah 1 and 12, and it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish them that are settled on their leaves, that say in their heart, the Lord Yahweh will not do good, neither will he do evil. All right? There's other precepts that go into that too. See if we'll go to it. Yeah, Psalm 94. Yeah, Psalms 10:2. Okay. Psalms 10 and 12, it says, Arise, O Lord Yahweh, our power, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. All right. And y'all are not humble at all. You're proud, leaning on your own self. Verse 13, wherefore doeth the wicked contemn the Most High? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Okay. That's what y'all really believe. Okay. What does the scripture say about men that are lukewarm? Okay. Revelation 13:3 and 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. All right. See, you can't just know that you're an Israelite and still be in the world. All right. Or have some kind of affinity in the world, or in the back of your head, you're hoping you can get this out of the world or that out of the world. No, you're supposed to be hastening the day of destruction for this place and praying that the Lord has mercy on you. Okay. That's an upright soul. That's what they would do. Verse 16, so then because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. And what's going to be the result of that? Okay. Go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Okay. You'll see what I'm talking about. But the whole world is getting ready to witness something. And it was written beautifully that this would happen the exact way we see it happening. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him. And that includes you niggas, man. Niggas inflict you more than Esau does nowadays. You know? It says, and made no account of his labors. All right? That's the whole system. Okay? What you call the West, all right? America, democracy, whatever you want to call it. All right, y'all made no account of our labors. All right, verse 2, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, just like we read in Proverbs 1, just like we read in Jeremiah 30. All right, it says, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. So let these people keep talking and bringing our name up, and they're going to come for us, but it's all good, okay, because we have faith that what's written is faithful and true, and we will be defended. Okay? So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. On to the next. Shalom.